Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? Good afternoon, Dino. Right back at you in the chat. Sadat, Bill, what's up, everybody? Goof, Frank, how we doing? It is 3:31 on a normal market day. You know what that means? It's time for At the Close. A bit of a good news, bad news thing. So the bad news is I don't have Joel today. Joel is going to be out for the next few days. If you care, I can tell you why. But I do have with me a special guest, Miss Silvia Bellrock, trader, entrepreneur. She'll be with us for the next half hour to walk through her charts, what she's seeing, and take questions from our chat. So it is Silvia and I with you today. Let's get the show started. All right, it is time for pre-market prep at the close.
3 consecutive highs, opened, matched yesterday's low, and then once it took out there, that's all the breakout momentum traders needed.
Yes. Joel is out for the rest of the maybe the rest of the week because we're out on Friday. I learned that this morning. So the situation, and he told me that I could tell you this, but unfortunately, Joel's mother passed away this morning. So that is why Joel is not here, and he will not be here for the next few days. But I told him I would be sending along everyone's best wishes to him whenever he gets back, and I told him I'm sure he would get a lot of love in the chat. So we can talk about this more tomorrow morning with Dennis if you like. But that's the situation for Joel. With me here and now, though, is Miss Silvia Bellrock, because the markets don't stop for anyone, especially Joel, or least of all Joel. So let's bring Silvia on the show. Silvia, how are we doing today? What's up?
Hey, nice to see you, and thank you for bringing me up here. So I'm happy to be here with you guys and to share my thoughts, my view here. It's been very interesting and volatile, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it here. So let's just start overall. Obviously, it's a bit of a red day. Every index is in the red. Every sector is in the red. Bitcoin has actually rebounded here. Bitcoin is up. ETH is up. But most things are down. I'm going to bring up your charts here, Silvia. First off, what is this chart of? What are we looking at? And
you just mentioned Bitcoin. So that's the Bitcoin futures, by the way. It is trying to hold here pretty good support so far. It looks really not too bad, but for me currently it's risk off kind of market. It's been very, very volatile, and a lot of headlines with this Omicron, and then especially most importantly last week with FOMC, where Mr. Powell decided to, of course, give a projection that they're going to increase rates next year 3 times, which is good for inflation, but I think the markets don't like this. Of course, also like I mentioned with this Omicron, a lot of unknowns right now and a lot of volatility, and so is the Bitcoin sector or overall currency sector, because if everyone is uncertain about certain things and about the market, no one wants to invest in risky assets. So that's why I think we saw also this drop. But like you mentioned, it's trying to hold today actually. So this is my 200 exponential moving average, and we see it tested actually 1 to 3 days, couple of times already, and it's trying to hold pretty well. So that might be the bottom here. And maybe on the lower time frame, I don't know, guys, if you're trading the future or the currency itself, but maybe on the lower time frame, we can get here a decent risk to reward entry. So that looks not bad actually to me.
all right, so maybe an entry where exactly on the Bitcoin futures?
Yeah, so I would wait until this candle, this is the 4-hour candle, until it's closed. So that would be in 1.5 hours. So if it closes green like that, and right now it's crossing here, already crossed the previous candle's high. So if it closes green like that, that would be a decent entry in my opinion. And I personally would probably not enter it because I'm in a risk off mode now until the end of the year. But chart wise, it looks actually not bad.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. You're in a risk off mode the rest of the year.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. So to me, in the market, you have always risk on phases and the risk off phases. And right now, going with these unknowns, like I mentioned, with Fed, with speeding up the tapering 3 times, increasing of the rates next year, then this Omicron, which we don't know how this is going to be handled, how dangerous it is, and so forth. So we just basically have a lot of unknowns. We don't know if this is going to cause more lockdowns. So, for example, in Europe, we have more and more lockdowns based on that. So I think similar things can happen also here in the US. And also, if you think about it, like what other tool can be used in order to support the economy if things start to worsen again, if they're going to increase rates. So I think like Fed is running out of tools right now, and if things starts to get worse, the inflation is going to accelerate a lot. And based on this, factors, I just don't feel right now like it's time to put too much money on the table and start buying stocks and and start to increase long exposure, in my opinion.
Okay.
And if you look on the chart, I can open up the futures like Nasdaq, S&P 500. You see, let me go here on the daily chart. You see when it's risk on for me, the market looks like slow, everything is green. Risk on means an uptrending cycle for me, where you just have very easy environment to buy stocks. Risk off is where you start to get choppiness, and unfortunately, after this kind of a uptrending cycle, this is always over at some point. This is never lasting forever. At some point, you're just gonna enter some choppier price action, and this year has been really one of the hardest times to pick to trade, in my opinion, because everything looked here pretty bullish, and then Thanksgiving and dropped based on this COVID. Then people thought, oh, we're gonna go back to normal. This is not so dangerous. We bounced back, but then we saw another drop. So you basically see the candles are much larger compared to the candles back here. And also you see those red green candles. So a lot of undecisiveness here. And if I see that, I basically realize, okay, the market is not, ready to continue further. We made here an all-time high, but as you see, every time we went there, we started to reject the highs and, break lower. So that's not a good thing overall. And if we break this low, we might see even further pullback. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just sitting on the lines more. I'm trading, but shorter term, like a couple of trades on the futures here and there. But I'm not loading too many positions on my other, like long exposure on stocks or something like that. I'm just like basically 95% cash. So those are the reasons for me, and this is how I am for myself identifying if that's a good time for me to buy stocks or if that's time for me to slow it down and sit on the lines. And especially going into the end of the year, I'm trying to reflect the whole year, what happened, what was good, how was my performance, what can I do better next year, where were my strengths and weaknesses. So that can happen only if you have clear mind, because if I have like 15 stocks, I cannot switch off and don't look at them. They need attention, of course. So having no positions gets me also to the point where I'm reflecting the whole year and trying to make some plans for next year and so forth.
Got it. So the way you see it is like, oh, we got 2 weeks left in the year. You're not about to, lose a chunk of your gains now.
Yeah.
Right. You've come this far. You might as well just keep everything you've got.
Exactly. That's my approach right now here. Yeah.
That's fair enough. And the lack of a trend sort of makes it a convenient time anyway to step back.
Yeah, exactly. If we had this so-called Christmas rally, which I was hoping and expecting, that would have been a different situation. But for right now, I just don't feel like that's the right time to, to go crazy.
Got it. So I would love to get your thoughts, Silvia, on next year. We will do some tickers in the chat. We'll ask Silvia about your tickers, so don't worry about that. But I'd love to get your thoughts on next year. Once the calendar does turn and people like you start putting your money back to work again. what is your initial thoughts on, you know, the how the year could start? I mean, or do you not even think about that sort of thing? You just react
Yeah.
to what
Uh,
happens.
Well, I do think a lot about it. So it's, in my opinion, it is going to be much, much more volatile than this year because, like if we go back, 2020 was a very easy year, except of course COVID and the dump. But if you managed to buy the dip, everyone threw money at the market and thought that that's easy game, so to say. Now this year has been more like you still needed, the market went up, but you still needed to be in the right stocks because a lot of times while the indices went up, the majority of the stocks went down. So we had this issue this year, which started like February, March, and then throughout the summer we had the same issue again. So it's been like always not the best market for stock pickers. While the indices were up, the majority of the stocks went down. So that's
I
been
love looking at this chart. This is the ARKK.
yeah, very good.
This to me is like the bogey, right? And
Yeah,
when was the top? February 16th, and it's been
yeah, exactly.
basically
Yeah.
straight down. Everything it seemed like topped out in February of last year.
Yeah.
Part of me does wonder though, is like once you get to the new year and everyone's got a clean slate as far as taxes are concerned, if you just do see a lot of just buying in a lot of these types of names. I don't know.
I personally don't want to, like, I'm thinking of I'm still thinking of this whole inflation stuff,
Okay. Okay.
and it's hard to put money where when if they start to increase rates, which they're planning to do. I
Mhm.
do expect the market to continue to go down, and we have this 2018 where the market
Oh.
not 100% sure if it's 2.5, but somewhere around there. And so they started increasing rates, and that was the end of 2018. The market started to go in a downtrend for 2 to 3 months, and then all of a sudden they started speculating on lowering rates, and all of a sudden the market continued to go up again. So again, if this happens this year, I do expect the market to be more volatile and to see here, of course, a little bit more bigger ranges drops, which means on the other hand, if I've been trading for right now those growth stocks, if the market drops, like now it was dropping like only 5 to 7, 8, 10%, all of my stocks which I've been trading, they dropped 40, 50, 60%. So if this continues next year and we see even bigger drop on the market, this means all those growth stocks, they're gonna be completely, kind of destroyed. So if I'm gonna buy next year more stocks, my focus will be more on value stocks, some other sectors than tech and growth, like
Okay.
this. Yeah.
So dividend names, value, banks, utilities, staples,
Yeah.
Dow components, right? These are all names on your radar.
Yeah, that's would be something I would looking for. Of course, never, no one knows what's going to happen, but this is something I think it might, if we continue in this direction with the rates and inflation, that we might see a shift. And also, I'm going to be focused more and more on this shorter term swing trades on the futures, because you have a lot of opportunities, and it's also been, safer to trade them because you don't have this huge out of nowhere drops of 40%, or continuation of lowering lower and lower while the futures went up. So my focus will be those indices as well, a lot
Yeah.
more.
Okay. Which futures markets?
I'm looking at US 500, so ES, NASDAQ,
Okay.
all those, Russell, for example. So, those.
I would love your thoughts on the Russell here, Sylvia, because the Russell to me is everything, right? Because it's a truer representation of the stock market. It's more diversified. It's frankly, it's got a lot more stocks in it. It's got 4 times as many stocks, and it's a true representation of what's really happening out there as far as market breadth. And not only that, it's at pretty critical support. So I would love your thoughts on the IWM or on the Russell futures.
Yeah, Russell has been very, very choppy actually this year. And like you said, this a lot of the times when you see a move on the Russell, the next thing what follows are the other indices. So this year, this has been basically the whole year. It's just upside down in a range. And we finally broke out here. Now we're at the current support. So if this level breaks and we continue to see, continuation lower, I think this will continue also on the other indices. But those are small caps, which are more risky assets. Like if we get those inflation problems, and Fed is anyways too late with trying to save the world with their high rates. But if this continues, the next thing which is going to go down, it will be Russell. So if I'm going to trade this is going to be on the short side.
Okay.
That's what I think. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting market, and I think this is definitely something where you will need much more skills compared to this year, because even this year's not been the easiest, but last year's been easy. The beginning of this year, where we started this whole AMC hype and stuff, those are happens when the market starts to go overly bullish. Then out of nowhere, those kind of I don't want to say pumped stuff, but this kind of
I mean, last year everything went up. This year
Yeah.
everything went down for the last 10 months, right? And it's basically that's been the story.
Yeah. It's been a little bit difficult. Yeah. Not everything, because if you look at the indices, again, they're up just certain stocks. And that's why it's been harder to pick the right stock. Because look, if you look at ES, which is for you guys, the S&P 500
Yep.
future, it's just straight up. Yes, it had a couple of times here, a little bit of a pullback, but it's still going up. It's up for the year. While a lot of those stocks, what you showed was very interesting with ARK, the growth stocks, they're just some of them are really getting destroyed.
All right. If you have any tickers for Silvia, drop them in the chat. Somebody asked you for your thoughts on Tesla.
Tesla. Okay, let's check out Tesla. Tesla is based that Elon is selling his shares, or sold a lot. I don't know if he's still selling, but could happen. I don't see it like a long right now. And like I've been mentioning, we go through phases, and I just want to zoom out a little bit and explain. This was a very nice, if we go back, very nice and uptrending phase where you just see this, everything is going up, almost no, this is just easy to trade. Then at some point, again, everything is over. What you see here, and it's easy, and you think this is going to go forever, this is at some point going to be over, and then you're entering a messy price action, which was here. We went through this distribution phase and then started to go in a downtrend, and then started to chop around for a little bit, and then finally it found here bottom, and then started in another uptrend again, slowly uptrending, which is now also over, because right now this looks to me like again, like what we saw just a couple of seconds ago, like a distribution where you see a lot of upside down, sideways breaking of support areas, and now we're trying to make here a new downtrend. So for me, this looks more like a downtrend, and if I had to trade it, I would look for shorts on a bounce somewhere.
The thing with Tesla is it's already come off. Let's see, it was 1243, and now it's at 8. Now it's below 9. It's at 900 right now, actually. So
Yeah.
You've already fallen about $350. In the last couple of months here, it went up so much so fast.
Yes.
I could easily. People forget that Tesla was a stock that for like 5 years was stuck in a range, right?
Yeah.
Pre-split, it was stuck in this. Oh, Chad, help me out. I feel like pre-split, it was what? It was like 200 to 400 all the time. It was like back and forth, 2 to 4, 2 to 4, 2 to 4, and it did that for several years, and then it finally broke out when end of 2019, right?
Yeah.
Right after they did that split, and it was to the moon since then. But Tesla, for a lot of its history, was a pretty range bound stock.
Yeah, it's very range, and yeah, you definitely need a lot of capital, and you need to think of that when you're trading this stock. It can go upside down in any direction. So
Yeah.
that's why I personally don't really like it for trading, because it can really, any headline or tweet of Elon Musk, it can just mess your whole trade. So if I had to short it, I'm not going to short it here, because what you mentioned, it already went down. This doesn't mean it cannot continue, but it already made this move to the downside. So I would like to see maybe something like that, where it continues lower, bounces, and somewhere around resistance will be good. But if this does not happen, I am for sure staying away of it for right now.
All right, some more questions for you from the chat, Sylvia. What about, does United Health, does that fit your criteria for a value name that you'd be willing to look at and put some money into potentially next year?
Yeah, I like this actually. I had it on the watch list a while ago. It's a little bit more expensive stock, but very good looking stock. Also, a growth stock, but from a different sector. So I actually really like this. Very nice uptrend, strong so far. It broke out, even though the whole market is going down. This one is actually holding pretty well. So any kind of a pullback, maybe around previous support, or any pullback will be good to see here for a long. Yeah, that's very good. Maybe for next year to keep watching and buying the dips. It's a very good one. Nice.
All right, we'll do a few more here because we've got 8 minutes left in the session. I'm keeping an eye on the market, obviously, as the futures tick higher here into the close.
They're trying hard. I have long here on the Nasdaq, by the way, but it's just not really working today.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I bought here at the open, and it's almost stopped me out, almost, but it's holding. So I'm still holding it. This is a quicker trade on the 4-hour chart. Let's see how this continues here. Maybe we will get pushed. So this is my target right here on this area. Just a quick move, hopefully in the next hours or days. Let's see.
All right, we'll do a few more here. I'm sorry, Astrid. I can't do SoFi. We looked at SoFi like 3 times today. Can't do it. I'm long SoFi. I can't keep looking at this chart. All right, every day. Adam Baum is asking about Carnival Cruise Line, CCL. Sylvia, they had earnings this morning. The stock did spike off the open, and then gave some of it back.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I just don't like those. Those are so still risky to me. All those reopening stocks, or stocks, traveling stocks, especially now with this trend. What would you do if you were longing this, and then tomorrow something happens with this Omicron, that they come up, none of the vaccine is working, and they have enough data, and all of a sudden it's very dangerous, and high hospitalization, then this thing will definitely dump. So I just don't see this happening. The whole world, I think it will unfortunately not gonna start to travel normally again, and for me it's too risky right now. Of course, if you want to do a quick trade where earnings seem to be better based on this green move, but if you want to do a quick trade, maybe with a stop here and entry here, but it's just not a good risk to reward. You have resistance here, then you have resistance at 22, then you have resistance here. It's, to me, just too risky of a trade, actually.
All right. Khaled's asking about StoneCo, STNE. Khaled, I mean, you're at an all-time low right now. I'm not really sure what STNE. I don't know what there is to say about it. It's at an all-time low. I mean,
oh yeah, that's that's a downtrend.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but like, I'm not saying they can't turn around, but there's nowhere. I mean,
yeah, and
what are you going to?
That's also an earnings loser. Look, if so, here is something and how to think about. I know people like cheap stocks, but if something gaps down like this, and then continues lower, this means this company is disappointing with the earnings. I'm not going to open up now the earnings because we don't have enough time, but obviously this stock is disappointing with the earnings. it gaps down from 31 to and sells off until to 20, so $10. This is a huge drop. And if investors are not happy with the stock and they keep selling this whole thing, this means they will not sell all of the shares market at once. So they will continue selling, which means the downtrend will continue for the next couple of days, weeks, whatever. So as you see here, also it bottomed, bounced, and then now it's trying to continue lower. So to me, actually, any bounce is a short on this. That would be the better.
Okay, so check this out about StoneCo. I've got the earnings calendar, the history up from Benzinga Pro here. It's up on the screen, and what jumps out to you, right, is the last 3 quarters they have come in well below the market expectations for their earnings per share. Earnings per share more important than revenue, because earnings per share is bottom line earnings, and this market cares more about earnings than it does about revenue. Revenue represents like a risk on market. When you're risk on, you're all about growth. You don't care about earnings. You care about revenue, how much is coming in the door. But when you're in a risk off market, how much are you actually making? Bottom line earnings is more important. So A, they have missed the estimate. They've come in below the expectations for the last 3 reports. B, just look at the earnings per share year to year, right? And look like Q3 of this year, right? They made 9 cents per share. Q3 of last year was a much better year. Q3 of the year before, much better year, right? You look at the same with this last few Q4s, right? I mean, this is a company that's bottom line is not growing.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And we're in a market that wants to see bottom line growth.
Yeah.
So,
and especially if investors see that, why should they put their money? They want to, if someone is holding, they want to get rid of it. And if you look back, this went from 71, this is back here in June, by the way, to 14. So, if it dumps that, why, what should happen in order for me personally to get interested in buying it? So really something really needs to change here in the earnings, like you said, or something like that in the chart in order for me to get interested. But this is a huge dump since 71 to 14. I don't know, I'm calculating in my head bad in math doing it, but it's a huge percentage. So yeah.
It's pretty brutal. Okay, we got like a minute and change left. We'll do one more.
Let's do one more.
With Silvia. Let's do. All right. I mean, okay. I mean, it's a fair question. Do you want to look at Rocket RKT?
RKT.
Yeah. Not a growth name. Company with real earnings. To answer the question in the chat, which is like explain the RKT chart, I can't. I mean, in theory, this would have been one that'd be going up in the last few months, and it's not. So I can't explain this.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't have to match. I've been trading this, by the way.
Oh yeah?
I traded it back here. And then I thought, I don't remember if I bought here, but I was in a losing position. And then I decided, this has this in earnings, I'm going to hold. And then I was in a loss here. And then all of a sudden this happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting out now. So I got lucky here, got out. But since then, it's just downtrending. And again, for me, not only earnings matter, but the price action needs to matter too. So the chart needs to show me that someone is interested in the stock and keeps buying it. Obviously, here is no buyer's interest. Of course, I don't know why, but in a downtrend, I don't want to buy. So I want to see at least a trend reversal, something like higher high, higher lows. And then, more momentum coming in. Then you might be interested in buying the dip.
There we go. There's our close. Well, while we were doing that, Silvia, I don't know if you saw the Bitcoin futures just spiked a little bit there. Actually, a lot of things spiked into the close. That was a bit of a, I don't know, rally is a strong word, but we definitely did creep higher into the close there. It seemed like, I mean, at the very least in Bitcoin, in the IWM too, and the SPY to some extent.
It looks not bad, not bad. Well, let's see if that lasts. So, I don't trust these rallies. It's kind of every single rally is being sold off so far.
That does seem to be the case. All right. Silvia Bellrock, Her Twitter and her website are both in the description of this video. I would encourage you to check it out. Sylvia, it is always a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for joining me on At the Close. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you again next year.
Thank you too, Spencer. Always a pleasure to talk to you too. Have a great one. Happy holidays too, and Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye. See you soon.
Everyone, hit that like button, please. I'd appreciate that. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning for pre-market prep. Obviously, I'll be there. Dennis will be there, and we'll be sending good vibes to Joel. That's a wrap for our live programming for today. No Money Mitch because he's out of office. Feels like no one's working here. Doesn't seem that way. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Hit the like button, please, and that's a wrap.